Good morning, everyone. It is 4:20 in the morning. Bedhead and patch notes because I saw this before I started my Death Stranding 2 session this morning, so I wanted to read through the patch notes and get this news out to everybody and get prepped for our Dune Awakening session, which is coming after the Death Stranding 2 session today. So let's take a look at the patch notes for 1.1.0.17 that just went live this morning, which do include some of the first stages of the Deep Desert changes, which a lot of people have been asking, hey, when are these Deep Desert PVE and PvP changes coming? Well, it looks like some of them are live today. So let's look at this first. The PVE area has now been adjusted to encompass the entire southern half of the Deep Desert map, so the bottom quadrants. That means players who have no interest in PvP can now find what they want without engaging in PvP. That includes Imperial testing stations, caves, and etc. found in this area. Those are all now PvE in the southern half of the map, which means those of you who are looking for the schematics, the T6 dungeons that you could do with your friends, which by the way are geared for 4 players. You can solo them, but they're slow. And resources, which they get to here in a minute. To retain, it says control points and shipwrecks continue to be PvP throughout the entire map, which means you will still find localized pockets of PvP in this PvE section, similar to how the Haga Basin works. Now, they have said that the full vision for this is going to be all those control points are eventually going to be moved to the PvP area. That was based on the message they dropped the other day. The message from Joel on how, what the vision for that change was going to look like. But for the moment, it's localized, so you just treat it like the Haga Basin. To retain the risk versus reward set with the Deep Desert, the density of resources increases the further north you go. This includes high density clusters of valuable resources. I need coffee. The largest spice fields uh, will also spawn in the north. The majority of control points exist in the northern part. As part of these changes, we have made some balancing adjustments to the deep desert. The lower half of the deep desert now offers PvE loot balanced towards shared loot and PvE activities. You will find better loot in the you may find, better loot in the more dangerous PvP areas northern on the map, farther north on the map. In the PvE area, for example, each player gets their own loot and can expect to receive one schematic, but in the PvP area, loot is distributed on a first come first served basis with higher quantities of everything. Players can expect to find 2 to 6 schematics there, which are among the rarest. Plasteel plates can only be found in PvP zones. The amount of active medium spice fields has been reduced from 8 to 5. The number of active small spice fields has been increased from 20 to 22. The spawn rate of titanium and stravidium have been reduced in the PvE area, so the larger quantities only spawn in the far out PvP areas, which is great. Risk versus reward. The number of nodes in resource hotspots at the PvE area part of the map has been reduced. The respawn time of titanium and stravidium has increased from 30 to 45 minutes. Some Imperial testing stations are still in the PvP region, and players who want all the schematics will want to visit both the PvP and PvE stations. Keep in mind the loot rotates each week, so even if you're not interested in PvP, you could obtain it at a later date if you're not able to trade it or buy it off the exchange, because it will eventually cycle through the other stations as well. But it's random, so you got to run them if you want them, if that makes sense. Okay, what's next? We've been gun work on the outline changes of the Scout Ornithopters. So in this one, equipping a rocket launcher module now decreases the top speed of your Ornithopter. It's 20% reduction on Scouts. Assaults are 10. Infra cards for the modules will reflect this change. Exiting Ornithopters midair now causes them to drop straight down instead of gliding away, which will decrease the chance that you lose your Ornithopter upon disconnect. Dude, I didn't disconnect the other day, but I accidentally exited. I pushed the wrong button to check my inventory, and I yeeted myself out on like the far northwestern section of the Haga Basin up by Pinnacle Station. And we sat there on the live stream and watched my Ornithopter over the next 5 minutes just go all the way from up here just all the way down until it hit the wall over in the far southeast section over by the Hogger Rift. It was quite amusing, and it did take several minutes for it to glide all the way over there. Um, says here there's an edge case that if your vehicle ends up in quicksand, you might not be able to interact with it if you are in the quicksand. The workaround is try to get on top of the vehicle to interact with it, which will be fixed in the next patch. We have removed restrictions on visiting other sietches, increased game stability, latest NVIDIA driver added to the GPU check. introduce player reporting, which means you can now report messages, which is great for those people who are spamming gold selling. You can now report those people directly from the chat, which is awesome. Some additional technical and stability changes, um, some combat changes, user interface changes, okay, and a travel change. You can no longer lose learned emotes. Cool. So those are the changes for today, which is patch 1.1.0.17. So we'll be exploring this stuff today when we get in game. I'm not ready to go to the deep desert, but it's nice to know that we can already now see the bottom half of the deep desert map is now PVE. Quick commercial break, everyone, to celebrate and give thanks to all of these amazing people who keep me on the air full time. Really appreciate the support. All you got to do is join as a member. You get access to private videos. You can also do super thanks on any upload or super chats and stickers on any live stream or premiere you see. And beyond that, don't forget we're multi-streaming over on Twitch now, so you can support over there as well. Thanks so much to everybody. Let's get back to the video at hand. We now can go get T6 resources as PvE players without fear of PvP, and you just avoid the shipwrecks like you do in the Haga Basin. Worth noting, as they said, until the full vision is implemented here, the Imperial testing stations, I believe, in the northern section. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. There we go. Control points and shipwrecks. That's what I was pointing out. Control points and shipwrecks in that bottom half are still going to be PvP. So be aware if you don't want to engage in any PvP at all, just skip the shipwrecks. Um, I know for us, we've been having a lot of talk about this in the streams and in guild chat and in the Discord over the past few days. Um, our guild previously, we were sort of, our community and guild were looking at, tentatively dipping our toes in the deep desert, but we weren't that excited about it because it was sort of like none of us wants to do PvP. None of us wants to engage in that. That we love the idea of the lands rad. We love the concept. What we don't love is the forced component, where you have players who refuse to participate in the lands rad, and their only purpose is to just grief other people, or to purposefully try to block other players from getting to the T6 resources. And that is something that I'm very glad to see Funcom has listened to feedback on, because it now means that PvP players can still have all that competitive um, aspect of gameplay that they want in the northern half of the deep desert. But those of us who just want to go about our business and be casual Care Bears can now have the bottom half of the map to explore, free from all that nonsense. And then when we feel ready for it, and if we want to risk it, only if, we can then dip our toes into those waters of the farther northern reaches and explore things at will. So it's a good change. I look forward to seeing what this is going to do for the long-term balance of the game. I think it's still too early to do too much balancing because they still have to introduce the third faction, which will introduce more changes in how the lands rad works. So I wouldn't anticipate them to go too much deeper beyond what they're doing for this the totality of that post that Joel made the other day. But I am looking forward to seeing this game continuing to evolve because I will be playing this for the long haul because I love Dune and I'm having a great time. So good job, Funcom. Look forward to seeing everybody in the game later today after the Death Stranding 2 stream. So we'll see you then. Stay safe. Happy gaming.